minutes. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 376 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, back again as we're doing back-to-back shows. Last night, episode 375, we were here with Jim Goodman, Director of Wagering Development at Keeneland, and talked about Keeneland's opening day card, which occurs Friday. And tonight, we are talking about simply one of the best cards of the entire year. I love this card. It's part of Fall Stars Weekend. It is Saturday at Keeneland Racecourse. 5 graded stakes in a row, 3 grade 1s, 3 win-in-your-ins. Unbelievable racing this Saturday. We're here to tell you all about it. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, bottom right-hand side of the screen. Notification bell on YouTube. Sorry, it's up there, top right-hand side of the screen. Below the video player, smash that like button. Every time you hit that like button, that tells YouTube this is a great place to go and sends other people with like minds right here to the channel. So please hit that like button immediately. We greatly appreciate it. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Tip sheet. We've got 2 tip sheets. I'll talk about the Keeneland Power Picks in a little while, but below the video player, we have our Saturday only Power Picks tip sheet. Very profitable, very inexpensive, covers major tracks throughout the countries on Saturday. Please check that out below the video player. Also, we have a fantastic website, hhhracingpodcast.com, where you can get all sorts of information. Before I bring on my co-host, let's see who's here in the chat. Katie is here. Great weather for Keeneland and Naira. Yes, both places have fantastic weather. It's going to be awesome. Paul Conlon is in the chat. Tom Espinoza, good afternoon or good evening. What's up, Tom, from San Francisco? Thanks for joining us. Look who's here, the Gallop Out. Ryan, don't you have a show to prepare for? Ryan Anderson from the Gallop Out, and most importantly from Pacific Horse Players. We have a live show at 9 p.m. Eastern following this show, where Pacific Horse Players himself and Noah Maher will be talking about the big races out in California for the Breeders' Cup win-in-your-in qualifiers. And we got Felipe Henderson. Sorry. What's up, Felipe? From the Bay. My favorite jock, Luis Saez, pretty darn good rider. Felipe, thanks for joining the show. All right, let's go ahead and bring on my fantastic co-host. We also got Erickson Hernandez is also here. What's up, Daniela Sanchez? Wow, we got the Hispanic population really represented. Thanks a lot, Daniela, for joining the show. Muchas gracias. Greatly appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and bring on my co-host for tonight. First, doing double duty. This guy is so dedicated. He moved around his schedule just to be with us tonight from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special, Mr. Paul Halloran, and back from his honeymoon. Big round of applause from everyone virtually in the chat. Our newlywed from Wisconsin. Let's bring him on right now. The host of Bet and Boozin', co-hosting tonight. He's back. He avoided all the hurricanes. Kyle Roscoe. Gentlemen, how are you doing? Kyle, let me start with you. Congratulations, my friend. I know you had a great time on your honeymoon, cruising around not the Mediterranean, the Caribbean. Back to reality, though, this week with work and whatnot.
Yeah, it hit hard on Monday. I'll tell you that for sure. But no, we had a great time. And as you said, we avoided the hurricanes. We were supposed to go to Mexico and Honduras right in the path of Hurricane Helene, and we ended up going east on a captain's basically decision. So we went to the U.S. Virgin Islands and St. Martin, and it was absolutely fantastic. Emma and I had a blast. Drank enough for the next weeks, but that doesn't stop the bet nor the boozing. So we're back again as usual. But yeah, we're ready to get back to it. And after my little hiatus with the wedding and the honeymoon, ready to get back to betting. And there's no better place than my favorite place to do it all year.
And real quick, Kyle, talk about tomorrow night and your show.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Howard tried to keep me away from Wednesdays, but he can't keep me away from him. Betting and Boozin's going tomorrow. And we're covering a really good card at Belmont at Aqueduct. It's the Frisette and Champagne Stakes card, 2 grade 1s, and a mandatory payout pick 5 with 4 graded stakes as a part of it. So we're covering that races 5 through 9 at Aqueduct on Saturday. You guys should tune in for that. Like I said, 2 grade 1s incorporated. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, looking forward to that, watching that tomorrow. Paul, we had a great show last night. We almost have 1,000 views already on YouTube for that show last night, of course, because you were on, and I'm sure we'll get the same thing tonight with Jim Goodman. It's an unbelievable weekend, Paul. We talked about Friday's card, the late pick 5 last night. This card, though, it is simply, I think, other than the Triple Crown race, other than the Triple Crown days and the Breeders' Cup, I honestly think this is the 5th, or you could argue it's better than the Preakness card even. This is the 4th or 5th best card of the entire year. Paul, you're muted.
Muted, Paul.
There you go. Up.
Don't sleep on Travers and Belmont too quickly. Yeah.
Well, Belmont, part of the Triple Crown, yeah. Travers too, yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
Travers is pretty good.
Yeah, this is right up there though, Paul. So, and the weather's gonna be great.
Trust me, it's Howard. Is it too late for people to get the Friday power picks?
No, it is not.
Howard, I burned the midnight oil last night. I'm going to finish them up tonight. Okay. I'm working my fat ass off on these power picks. Okay. Which means there's a lot of opportunity to work there because it's very fat. And I hope people are going to freaking read them.
Well, since you brought it up real quick before we get into handicapping, we have Keeneland only power picks. Paul is writing the first one. I'm writing the one for Saturday. And I believe Noah Maher is writing the one for Sunday. This is Keeneland only. It comes out on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, the morning of the races. Again, you go to our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. We talked about this last night, Paul, but it's worth mentioning. The deadline is tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. We are literally 12 hours away from the deadline. So if you're interested in our Keeneland only power pick tip sheets, which you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings, please make sure you go to our website very, very soon. If you're listening as a replay, it might be too late, but we've been advertising for quite a while. Check it out. It's very popular, very affordable, very profitable. All right, guys, let's get into this late pick 5. Now, the pick 5 on Saturday is all graded stakes, Kyle and Paul. It's going to be a huge pool. It's, I believe, 3 grade 1s. I know it's 2 or 3 grade 1s. I'm not sure. I know for a fact 3 of the races are also winning your ins for the Breeders' Cup. So the weather's going to be great. It's going to be unbelievable. I'm going to have the pleasure of being there with Noah Maher and a few other people, and a bunch of our podcasts hosts and coaches are going to be there the following weekend for the contest. Kyle, you're going to be there in 2 weeks. Yep. Paul's going to be there. Brad Anderson, Matt Miller, a whole bunch of people. So it's going to be exciting. Guys, let's get into it right now. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and we'll get started. And Kyle, I already told you this. Paul, you don't know this, but I do have some anti-post European betting already for this racing that I will talk about. The first leg, guys, wow. I mean, this race is absolutely impossible. It's the Woodford. It's a grade 2. It is not a win you're in. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Some of the best older turf males in the country. $350,000. Huge field of 12. There are 3 AEs. Look at this morning line. What a tough job for Nick Tamro. The morning line favorite is the number 4, Our Shot, a Pennsylvania bred for Terra Nova. Excuse me, it's not. It's Super Quest. I apologize. Super Quest, the Florida bred for Cassie and Ortiz, the number 8 horse. Our Shot, the 4, is the second choice. I would be shocked, guys. Shocked if we are similar, because this is just a really hard race. Let's take a look at it. Well, Kyle and I are thinking alike a little bit. I'm going 6-10-4. Kyle's going 10-6-5. Paul is going 8-4-6. Kyle, let's go with you first. You're going to go with Arzak. This is a very well-meant horse who likes Keeneland, 6-1 more line, Trabetta, and Jomar Ortiz, who's really having a breakout year.
I mean Torres, obviously, but either way, Arzak, this is one that I'm kind of taking a little bit of a limb out here because he was very good coming back for his 6-year-old year earlier in the year, winning the Shakertown, as you mentioned, 2 for 2 at Keeneland is Arzak. Then running a good Jaipur, just finishing behind Cogburn, which I'm sure a lot of these horses in this field are very happy to find a race without Cogburn, as you go and scroll through many of these horses and just see lost to Cogburn, lost to Cogburn, lost to Cogburn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Arzak is one that, again, loves Keeneland. He's shown that he can run in the past with a lot of these. And in this race, there's really not too much speed, which I thought was a little bit interesting. You know, these turf sprints, you know, sometimes have a sense to just be speed balls. And I think with Paul's pick with the 8, I think that's what he sees as well. You can see Time Form has the 8 pretty far out there. Arzak's one that likes to sit a little bit closer up in that 5th, 6th position in this. I love that he's drawn outside. They can just sit a nice 2 wide trip, hopefully, and get a nice run, return to form at a track that he loves.
Yeah, I have Arzak in second. I think Arzak's very live. You're right. It doesn't look like a lightning pace, but look, it's so hard to figure out the damn pace complexion in some of these races. You got to figure there's going to be some, legit speed in it. I do like Arzak here. Paul, let's talk about your top choice. Super Quest, who is the Moyline favorite. I'm sure you wouldn't take too low a price. This horse is just super fast, in really good form. Barely lost a big invasion. I have no real negatives. If he gets out there and get loose, he can win. He's also won at Keeneland.
Yeah, I think he's much better on the lead. He did not get the lead last time. He got it. As you can see, he has it at the stretch. Oh, can we have a moment of silence for the Baltimore Orioles to go with the moment of silence for the Houston Astros? Everyone, please. Okay. The Orioles in Houston. Kyle, what would that parlay have been to have the Orioles in Houston being swept at home?
Paul, I couldn't tell you. All I know is I wish I had it. That's for damn sure.
Anyway, I digress. I'm a big Arzak fan, and off the Jaipur, I liked him a lot at Monmouth. I know he only missed by 3/4 of a length. He didn't run that well. And in the race named for the late, great Harvey Pack, he ran even worse. It wasn't a long marriage, but I went to Matt Miller and got the express divorce papers on him. Okay. So I just think with the lead that I'm encouraged to see. I hope that pace scenario plays out, because if this guy Superquest can get a breather on the lead, I think he could be very tough.
By the way, I had to represent, Kyle knows this, Paul. 1 year ago, coming up this weekend, Kyle and I were there, and we watched our horse, including you, Paul, Shards, finish a close 4th, which was good enough to qualify him for the Breeders' Cup. So it's not this race, obviously. It's the race that happens on Sunday, but I got to represent with my Shards Breeders' Cup hat. Paul, true or false, Keeneland turf going 5.5 is more difficult to wire than Saratoga going 5.5. True or false, Paul?
I would say false. I think it's more difficult to wire at Saratoga.
Really? Interesting. Okay. I'm going to slightly disagree, but I think it's about the same. I thought you might just take a pass on that question. I think it's pretty similar.
No, I put a solid 3 seconds of thought into it, and I hope you respect that.
I do. I'll tell you what. I thought you might have some no balls on that question and not answer it, but anyway, here we go with the puns.
Speaking of horses not running well, by the way.
Yes, but you know what? I'm picking them anyway. How about that?
You do that.
I had a really tough time with this race, obviously. I don't know if No Balls is as good as he used to be, but Kyle and Paul, I feel like he's starting to round back into form. I thought that last race at Kentucky Downs, which I did pick him on top, and I'm going with him again. He was 4 or 5 wide the entire time. Like, it's a complete
wasn't
monster.
a great trip.
I mean, and it was Cogburn. He wasn't beating Cogburn. The second place finisher is a nice Euro sprinter. I think he's getting better. I have a feeling, Kyle, that he's going to run very big at Del Mar again. I don't know if he's going to win. I say Del Mar again, meaning the Breeders' Cup again, guys. Maybe he's not going to be fully cranked for this race. I think he's going to sit off of Super Quest, or maybe even get the lead. Depends on the break. He's just really honest. He's much better than One Timer right now, who breaks from the rail, which is the other Ravelli. I'm not sure what the plan is for. By the way, E.T. Baird back riding Kyle. Pretty cool to see that in the program. I'm going to go with No Balls. I don't have a strong opinion, guys. I'm going to pull a Pete Visco here, Paul. I have 5 A's. This is just an absolutely impossible race. One of my A's is Super Quest. Let's quickly talk about 4, and then we're going to move on. The number 4, Our Shot, who, Kyle, you know of anywhere. So, Paul, I'm going to let you talk about this horse. Another very honest horse. just lost a big invasion in that Harvey pack. The work tab is very good. Actually, you know, it was the work tab on Super Quest I want to ask you about, actually, because I remember. I digress. No works at all showing for Super Quest since his last run, Paul. That was one of the reasons I didn't have him in the top 3. Any concern there? He doesn't usually work. Well, he does have some bullet works. I was a little concerned about that. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yeah, I did. Although you look from July 6th, there's only 4 workouts on the page total, and he's had 2 races. Without having any direct knowledge of what Cassie's doing, Cassie's a Hall of Famer, and I'm going to trust that he, there are some horses who just, look he's on the track every morning like the rest of them, right? So it's just a matter of, it's pretty easy to get a gallop that approaches a timed workout that's not quite there. So I wouldn't get that concerned over that. I'm not overly, and I thought I think he's back to, but you were talking about our shot, Howard.
Yeah, I
very pace dependent. I like the horse, but if the pace plays out the way we have talked, this horse is going to have a hard time winning.
I know he's a dead closer, though. He's really more mid-pack, right, Paul?
No? Yeah, mid to 2/3. Okay. I think he's going to need some pace to get into. But I like him. Hey, look, you said it at the top, Howard. Nick Tamaro. I hope that Keeneland ships him a case of bourbon a day to make these. Forget about the 2-year-old races, which are enough of a headache. Less so at this time of year than the spring. But races like this, this weekend where they're coming from Kentucky Downs and Saratoga and Ellis, and it's so, as evidenced by the morning line favorite being 7-2. So there really isn't a horse in this you'd say, well, I'm not going to take that price, because I don't really think anyone's going much lower than that. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I think it's really wide open. Mark Flanagan, what's up, Mark? Love Keeneland. Track is beautiful. Thanks for the great info, guys. Appreciate it, Mark. We got a lot of Kyle. While you've been away, I don't know if you heard, but our podcast has grown again. It grows every day. So anyway, we got new people joining in all the time. Actually, Ralph Conti thinks XY Speed is the winner. Wow, that would be a bomb from the outside. We'll have to see what happens here. Oh, look what happened, Paul. Mike Whalen, I just signed up for the Power Picks. There we go, Mike. Now we're talking.
Thank God I'm on commission. Holy Toledo.
Do they get emailed to me, or are they on the site? So Mike, I'm not sure if you signed up for our regular Power Picks or our Keeneland Power Picks. Either way, they are emailed to you, Mike. So you'll get that. If you sign up for the Keeneland Power Picks, you'll get them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the Keeneland meet. If you sign up for our regular Power Picks, that'll come through your email on Saturdays. So Mike, no, they'll be personally hand delivered to you through email. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to read off some things in the chat, but we're going to move on. All right, let's go on to the next race, guys, as I do some maneuvering here. By the way, No Night Hudson's in this race too, who I liked a little bit at Del Mar, but I was a little disappointed that he faded late. But look, that's Wesley Ward at a price. I mean, that's Wesley, right? I think.
Yeah, it is. I had him third. I've liked him both times the last 2 times. He's disappointed me, so I just had to. I had to throw him in there for at least a little bit of a price now. But
by the way, quick little PSA. I don't think anyone's going to mind. Lashana Tova. Happy New Year to all my tribesmen, my Jewish friends out there, as Rosh Hashanah is starting. So happy New Year to all of my tribesmen out there. All right, let's.
And I haven't done any shopping either. Jeez.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay, Paul. All right. I forgive you. That's actually Yom Kippur, but anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyway, let's go talk about the Thoroughbred Club of America, guys. This is for the girls. They are sprinting. It's a win and you're in. 6 furlongs, $350,000 on the dirt. Compact but solid field of 7, led by the morning line favorite, number 3, Bright Work. Jose Ortiz, Luis Saez. This is a horse that's had an interesting career. Ran well off the layoff last time and is running back here again. Let's see who we're going with. I'm going 6-3-4. What is going on with Kyle and I? Kyle's going 6-3-1. Paul is saying you guys are crazy. I'm going to go 3-7-6. 6. Paul, let's go with you. You are chalking out with Bright Work, a very talented filly. 2-1 seems a little low for me in this field, but she is very talented.
Yeah, I went into the race, Howard, thinking I was going to pick against her because she really is a Saratoga specialist. Get it? Saratoga specialist.
Oh,
I
like it.
3 for 3 and really good. But then, you look at the loss at Keeneland and then the loss in the Breeders' Cup, and they're both around 2 turns. This is clearly a 1-turn horse. And, John Ortiz has her back doing what she wants to do. I thought of the 5 races in the sequence that we're going to talk about, Howard. This is still a good race. I thought this was the, quote marks, thinnest of the 5. I didn't think it was a great race like some of the others. So I just think she's best. My wild card here, though, is, and you'll see her dig in here. She's a tough cookie. My wild card is Red Carpet Ready. Horse that I saw win the 8 Bells on Oaks Day of 23.
Yes, sir.
Had a rough start to 24, and I'm not sure what other than the Oscar performance. I was going to say I'm not sure what the turf was about, but I guess when you have an Oscar performance, you're morally obligated to run on turf. Anyway, owned by Ashbrook Farm and my friend Patrick Lewis of Upland Flats Racing. This when this filly's on her game, she's pretty good. Not sure that 7's not better than 6, but outside post, I definitely think dirt. Obviously, she's better on dirt. So, yeah, that's my other selection there. But I just think Bright Work, albeit against older, albeit as the morning line favorite, I got a feeling might just be better than these horses.
I looked really carefully at Red Carpet Ready because I do like turf to dirt, and Rusty Arnold points to this spot. Paul, I'm about to show you something you might not like. But you know what? Too bad, my friend. You're going to see it anyway. The anti-post betting. Can you see this, Paul? How about this? Now, How reliable is this? We'll find out. This is anti-post betting in Europe. So this is betting that has already happened. And this is through Bet365. So this is, for people who are not familiar, this is pretty accurate. Sorry, it's on the bottom of the screen if you guys can see.
Oh, I like it. I got Bright Work at 4-1.
Like
what are you talking about?
You like that? Okay. What's your impressions of that, Paul, if that comes to fruition?
I'll see how accurate it is when the race goes off.
Okay. They got Red Carpet Ready 5-2 for those of you on a listening platform.
I mean, how much is in the pool? 3. How much is in the pools?
I don't know. I can't tell you that. Bright Work at 4. This is what they're offering, so it's like I said, it's a little bit, it's a little bit tricky. But anyway, just thought you'd like to see that. Kyle, you're gonna go. You and I are both going with the same horse. I like Zeitlos a lot, here in this race. Matt Miller, are you paying attention? There's a lot of things I like about her. I'm gonna let you talk first, Kyle. Zeitlos, the number 6, 4-1, Asterson, Jose Ortiz.
I've actually been a pretty big fan of this horse. Because people know I don't normally play Oaklawn. And the only days I played Oaklawn, basically when the days I played Zeitlos and ended up winning for me earlier in the year. She's really good. She's very consistent. She always comes with her run. And I think in this race, I think there's a sneaky room for a little more speed than people are thinking in this race, because you have clearly Unhinged, who's basically not a dead send, but is definitely going to be near the lead. Anywho doesn't like to be far away. Bright Work doesn't like to be far away. Spirit Wind is an absolute dead send. So I think there's going to be a little more speed, and obviously Red Carpet Ready, as we touched on earlier. Zeitlos, not really pace dependent, has run into slower paces down at Oaklawn and even at Churchill, but I just think that if the pace does develop the way I think it does, she's good enough. Her numbers are good enough to win this race. Jose Ortiz hops aboard here, which I thought was interesting. Who'd never ridden her before, but should have her close enough to ready to pounce towards the quarter pole. And I think, like I said, if there's enough speed here, I really like Zeitlos in this spot as well at 4-1.
I don't usually disagree with the time form, but I agree with you, Kyle. There's got to be speed in this race. I mean, I don't see how there's not. Well, geez, here we go.
Oh no,
where we said that before, but not usually on Keeneland dirt. Like they go. I was actually not a big fan of this horse, guys, earlier in her career. I thought she was sort of a money burner, a little disappointing. She has turned around her game, and I love her visual. Her race last time at Churchill, guys, I know she only won by a length in like 3/4, but it was much easier than it looked. And Torres didn't even ask guys until like midway down the stretch or like the top of the stretch. I'm slightly worried, Kyle, about the quicker turnaround in 3 weeks, but they've done it before with this horse.
Correct.
And based on the fact she only ran like a half mile in her last race, and you have to watch the replay, I think she sits a great trip. I think she's going to come over the top and win. I like her a lot. If I'm getting 3 or 4 to 1, good night, Irene. I will be betting as Noah Maher would say, our host, Pacific Horse Players, an unhealthy amount on Zeitlos. I think Brightwork is a major player here, Paul. I agree with you. I like the second off the layoff. I think Brightwork's going to come off it a little bit. I don't think she's going to be that close to the lead. We'll see. But this is a tough ass for Brightwork. I respect you, Paul. I have her second. She can win. But, she's going against Older for the first time, and this is a tough field. We're going to see what Brightwork is made of. And by the way, guys, as we turn the page here, literally, the winner of this race goes to the filly and mare sprint. I got to tell you, that might be the best race of the weekend. The filly and mare sprint this year is completely loaded. I mean, unbelievable. I can't wait to talk about it. Society, Sweet Azteca, Ways and Means. I mean, I can go on and on. The winner of this race, it honestly might be the best race of the weekend. And it's rare that I would say that about that particular race. I can't wait for it. It's going to be very exciting. Let's go on to race 8, guys. Race 8 is the string of grade ones. And man, this race is good. Really, yeah, no kidding, Paul. Really good. The First Lady, grade 1 for the girls. They're going 1 mile on the turf. It's a field of 11. Actually, this is a win in urine. I want to double check that. It is. I believe it's for the mile. Now I'm actually confused. It might be for the mile. It actually might be for the filly and mare turf. I have to double check which one it must be to the filly and mare turf, which I don't think a lot of these horses would go to, actually. Huge field of 11. I mean, some of the best filly and mares in the country are pretty much coming together in this race. The Moorline favorite is the number 4, Gio Romantica for Chad. Chad's got 4 in here. Gio Romantica, the number 4 horse, is 3 to 1. Let's see where we're going with here. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Charlie Freeman. Where's Charlie Freeman? Charlie Freeman, rejoice. I cannot believe this. Because I've been against Chili Flag several times. I gave up. I got to go with her. And then you know what's going to happen now. I'm going 8-2-4. Kyle's going 8-4-2. Paul's going 8-2-7 for a race that I think is very difficult. We are strangely similar. Gentlemen, I hope we are right. Paul, let's go with you. Chili Flag has just been really, really good and really impressive. She's 5 years old now. She's reached her peak. Chad, Tyler, I don't know if we're getting the 6-1 morning line because this is a very difficult race, but she is in blazing form and there's speed to set it up for her. She's 1 trip away from winning the biggest race of her life in the First Lady.
Yeah, I really think, Howard, you can really draw a line through that last race. Far outside post, going 1 mile and 1/8 on turf up at Saratoga. If you watch the replay, not only did she break not well, but she kind of broke toward the outside. Horses go to open spaces. And, for a closer, I mean, I think they're going to have a rule in this race where the horses have to run, which they did not do in the Diana. That was a gallop race. They didn't put it in the racing form or anything. They didn't even say that this is a gallop, that you're betting on a gallop, not a run. But I think in this race, they're going to mandate that they actually have to run. And
she's the 10 here, Paul. When you talked about the break,
take right a look.
There,
she's going to the outside. She's dead last by 2 lengths right out of the chute. And White Beam Howard defended her title in the race by running 6 furlongs 2 seconds slower for this year than last year. So, again, I think Chili Flag was, as you said, in raging form going in. She's wide. She's trying to close into a snail pace. And by the way, White Beam's not the worst horse in the world. And the field was good. This was a good race.
Here's Giro Matsuka, who's in this race. She's the 5. Evie Jets is in this race on Saturday. She's the 9. Moira's not in this race, but there's Moira, the one. Yep.
So I'm gonna chuck that race. I'm gonna say that Chili Flag is in a much better spot. Chad Brown horses that run badly, I won't say poorly, tend to bounce back. I think it's legitimate excuse between the break and the post, and I would love to see 6-1. I don't know that she's going to be appreciably lower than 4-1, so I think you're going to get a decent price.
There's the fast pace, Paul. It might set up for Chili Flag. AG Bullet is going, and it sure looks like there's some other speed. We're not going to drone on about the 8 for 15 minutes here. Kyle, you can mention a little bit about Chili Flag if you'd like, but you've got the 4 who I've got, Gio Romanica, who I have in third. Paul's not using. This is a horse that was unbelievable towards the end of last year. Won this race at Keeneland. I was there. It was very impressive, upsetting. Oh boy,
In Italian.
In Italian, thank you. Upsetting in Italian. Took a little while to get going, but I think she's got her feet back under her. And what I like about her is she's become a little more tactical, Kyle. And in case they don't go that fast, I don't think she's going to be as far back as Chili Flag. And I think she'll get the jump on her. The question is she just good enough to win?
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. Last year, obviously, that was when she just burst onto the scene and the First Lady last year, upsetting Gina Romantica, and then ran well in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Then coming back, like I said, she didn't really get. She obviously lost to Butte Cachet in that absolute steal of a race in the Jenny Wiley in the spring. Then just hasn't, has been building up to efforts like this. 197 now comes into this race. Maybe she's just not as good as she was last year, but she's still running consistent enough numbers. And as you pointed out, Howard, how she's become a little more tactical, has been closer to the lead. And in a race like this, where you're going to have, a lot of big horses coming from farther back than she is, I like her for at least a little bit of a piece for sure.
Yeah, I think she's got a very good shot. I'm making a little bit of price. Let's talk about the Aga Khan horse, guys. Tarawa. Now, I did a little research. I made some phone calls, got a little intel here. Chris Hayes is riding. Chris Hayes is an excellent young rider. He's coming here to ride Tarawa. This horse, you see, the time form, if you subtract about 15, appears slow. But guys, I've seen this time and time again, literally. When they show the European time form, to me, they're going to run about that buyer first time in the U.S., maybe slightly lower. So I think Tarawa is very capable of riding a mid-90s here to a high 90s, in my opinion. Has not been facing the toughest competition, right? Group 3s, etc. That last race at the Cura, however, was impressive. Horses have come. First of all, she lost to Diego Velasquez, who almost went in the mile race. We're going to talk about for the boys, but decided not to ship over. Diego Velasquez is very talented. Came in second in that race at Leopardstown. The grade 3, the group 3, that she won at the Cura was very impressive. It was a mile and an eighth. Winner, the second and third place finishers, guys, have come back and done very well in group 1, group 2s. So I think Tarawa was facing nice company. She's versatile, guys. She can go 7, she can go a mile and an eighth. She's gone left-handed. And most importantly, she's becoming more tactical. Now, you never know how they're going to break, guys, but I don't think she's going to be one of these Euros that's like way in the back. So 9-2 on the morning line. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys very quickly, if I can get it up here, let me make this a little bit bigger. The anti-post betting, I believe she's also 9-2. I can't remember which direction it is, so give me a second, guys. I think it's actually this way. You see a bunch of stakes. Here it is.
Probably east. Europe is typically to the east.
There you go. If you guys see on the bottom of the screen, they've got White Beam, who none of us have, by the way, as the 11-4 favorite. There's Tarawa, second choice. Chili Flag at 6s. Special Juan, who's an interesting horse. Gio Romantica 8. I'll take Gio Romantica at 8-1 right now. So, guys, it's going to be a really interesting race there. Paul, you want to talk very quickly about the 7. I'll mention some others and we'll move on. But it looks like they're between Evie Jets, Walkathon, of course, the 10, AG Bullet. I mean, it sure looks like there's going to be speed in this race. You gave a little look to Special Juan. I looked at this horse. Looks slow on paper, but if you go by the time form, Paul, she absolutely fits, and she ran a very impressive race at Kentucky Downs where horses were not coming from that far back to win during that meet.
And she came from the clouds. She came from just outside of Nashville, Howard, to win that race. If you watch that race early, she is second to last down the backstretch. She's the 10, I believe, right
Way back
in the
here.
second to last position, right there.
Right here, sorry,
and,
right here, guys, right here.
Right there, and she's closer where you picked it up. On the backstretch, she was further. Now this is a really good Rosario ride. He stays inside till he can't anymore. Now he has to go out. But as you said, Howard, courses were not closing that much, and she's still 8th right here. And it's hard to with the perspective because the damn head on. But you're just going to see when they start going uphill here. She runs uphill faster than all of them, and she draws off here. And I don't know what the field was, but I do know, to your point, Howard, they really weren't winning races like that there. And when I saw 20-1, and you noticed she's 6-1 from the our good friends over in Europe, 20-1. That's the reason I didn't use Gina Romantica in my top 3. Because I like the Chile flag. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to use Tara, and I wasn't not going to use this horse at 20-1.
Chris Couple stopped by to say hello. Good luck, everyone. Family stuff. We'll catch the replay. Thanks, Chris.
Wait a minute, Howard. We can't have viewers prioritizing their family over the HHH Racing podcast, Howard. We have to. We'll work on that going forward.
Paul, the number 7 Special One might be a really nice reverse tri-key horse for you to use, and maybe me as well, especially if the pace heats up. I've got her as a C. I might move her up to a B. We'll see. That field, though, was not that good, but the way she did it.
Agreed.
Again, and at Kentucky Downs, I think the visual, Kyle, it's hard to see that she closed fast, not because of the camera angle, but because they're going uphill and blah, blah, blah. And that was a serious close. I don't care who she's facing.
It doesn't matter who she's facing. All of us on the screen, we all tend to look at visuals rather than, buyers or anything like that above anything else. So the fact that she's able to close on a track that was definitely not keen for it over the whole meet, basically, there wasn't anyone really closing at all. And even the 83, but then you pointed out how her time forms fit, especially. You want to look at her compared to Tarawa. She ran a time form better than Tarawa in her races over in England. So definitely fits that. And then you can look at, second off the ship over here as well. There's many things pointing up for Special One, which is why I think definitely not going to be that 21 price, but should still be a nice enough price if you want to at least throw her underneath, if not, trying to get her on top.
Now, obviously, this is there's some Euro betting here, and Special One came from Europe, and it's Team Valor 6-1 on Bet365 right now for your anti-post betting on the number 7 Special One. White Beam last time was the time, Paul. She's really good. I don't like her at all. I probably just put her in the winner's circle.
Yeah, she's good. Again, and you talk about the Europe, the anti-post you showed under 3-1, which is right about where a morning line is just over 3-1. No disrespect to Giroux, but among French jockeys, don't confuse Giroux and Pratt. I don't know.
We get along so well.
Look, that was I can't. I just can't, in good conscience, play her coming off that race. I just think it was too.
I agree.
It was just that race,
and at favoritism too. I agree with you.
She's got a wide post. It's
from the 11.
Short. Yeah, it's gonna be a fast. I'm gonna not use her at all. If she wins, I'm probably just I will. It'll not be a good day for me. Guys, let's go to the Claiborne Breeze Futurity. This is a win and you're in for the 2-year-old boys. Kyle, we talked about this last night. I know you weren't with us. You want to get 2-turn experience in the Breeders' Cup. More horses in the last 10 years, 2-year-old babies, I should say, have won going 2-turn prep than 1-turn prep. So although they can win going 1-turn prep, i.e. the Frisette, the Champagne, which you're going to talk about tomorrow, the stats say that they're better off going 2 turns. And I think what Ferocious is doing here and Delgado is really smart. I don't know if Ferocious, the number 1, who's the big favorite here, morning line is going to win on Saturday. But even if Ferocious does not win, I think it's a very smart thing to do, not only for the Breeders' Cup, but for his 3-year-old campaign. You see the big morning line favorite there is Ferocious, 8-5. Has been battling Chancellor McPatrick at Saratoga this summer. I think arguably the 2 best 2-year-olds in the country. I'm sure the Baffert horses will have something to say about that and some others. 8-5 morning line, Delgado and Saez is Ferocious. It's a big field of 11. Let's see where we're going to go. And we're all, no. Wow. Kyle's going to go against Ferocious. I like it, Kyle, because I like your horse too. I'm going 1-5-4. Kyle's going 5-1-10. Paul's going 1-5-10. So Kyle and Paul have the same 3 in different order. We all of us have 1-5-5-1, some combination of that. Kyle, let's talk about the horse that you think will upset the field. Number 5, East Avenue for Brendan Walsh, Tyler G, and Team Blue of Godolphin. What an impressive winner, first time out, but much tougher field today, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And of course, Ferocious can win this race. I decided to go a little bit, away from it, but visually, I'm sure you guys will talk about it. That last race in the Hopeful was very, very good for Ferocious. But East Avenue started off at Ellis. Brendan Walsh usually likes to send a lot of his firsters to the Kentucky circuit. And talk about impressive. Luan Machado hopped aboard this. I mean, Medagliadoro, Ghost Zapper, Dance Music, also a dam of the wonderful Dance Card. And we all know how Dance Card has done with her progeny. Shout out to Paul, who's not on screen right now, but she's done pretty well for herself on the progeny side. And this is kind of, a first, second cousin to that. But like I said, sadly, we can't watch the replay, but visually it was super good. And the other thing that I thought about this race, guys, is this is kind of like the opposite of what you see a lot of 2-year-old races, or from coming from the early races. So there's a lot of horses that would love to sit in behind horses as you go through this field. East Avenue was one of the only ones that was able to be fast enough to jump to that early lead and absolutely draw off. And as you can see, though, a lot of cold pace, a lot of blue figures underneath that running line there. But if he can get out early, they're going to have a tough time catching up to him if there's not going to be too much pressure on him early.
Well, I think the break is huge in this race. Now, they do have a fast pace, Kyle, but they do have him on the lead. So we'll talk about Ferocious in a minute. I don't think Ferocious is sending like a banshee. And he's going to use his, based on things I've read, Kyle, they want him to relax a little bit early. He's not going to take back, but I think East Avenue is going to be in front of Ferocious on the first turn. Now, who else might go with Ferocious? Who might else go with East Avenue is a whole other deal. Paul, I thought East Avenue, this looks like a big horse. Like on video, I don't know if you guys watch his replay.
I did.
He's a big, beautiful striding horse. I don't think 2 turns is going to be a problem at all. He's actually got some turf breeding in him too. I bet he can run on turf as well at some point, but I'm sure they have their mind, on the Kentucky Derby with this kind of horse, Paul.
Yeah, he looked good. I did go back and watch the replay, and it was as easy as it looks. He wasn't.
Yep.
Machado hustled him a little bit early, but it wasn't that hard to get to the lead, and just to show that this is a tough business. Machado is a really good jockey. He rides next, but when Tyler's available, unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. It's part of the business, and he's a good kid and he's a good jockey. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I thought the one thing that struck me, Howard, from going back and watching the Hopeful is that as of now, and this could change next year, but I would not bet Ferocious against Chancellor McPatrick at gunpoint, because it's unbelievable how much better a trip he had. And Chancellor McPatrick still won the race, but Chancellor McPatrick will be running in New York, so that's not an issue. I thought Ferocious ran well. It was a winning effort to what I think is a superior horse. Obviously, he was lights out in the debut. We know this is these are the Mage people. They bought this horse with the money that Mage brought them in the Kentucky Derby, which we love to see. Saez, I think, is, well, you can't, no one, obviously, ostensibly anyone from IRAD could be considered a downgrade, but Saez is really, he'll have this horse in contention early. So the only, and I know it's the first time around 2 turns for Ferocious too, but he did go 7. I don't know. I got a funny feeling that this could be a win the battle, lose the war type thing. I think East Avenue might be better way down the line, but I'm going to give the nod to Ferocious on Saturday.
I feel the same way, Paul. And I don't see how Ferocious does not get a good trip unless Saez gets caught in a speed duel. Doesn't Paul just feels like this horse is going to just sit the pocket? I mean, that's what they should do, at least in my opinion. Now, maybe he doesn't want to take dirt. I mean, maybe there could be, these are 2-year-olds. You don't know. But with the short stretch also, Kyle, this is a short stretch finish.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You don't want to be that far back. I realize being on inside could be a little bit tricky, though, because Saez is going to have to work his way out of there. But I just see Ferocious singing a good trip, and I hate to chalk out in this kind of race, but it feels that way. A few other horses I want to mention, guys. We'll talk about the 10-minute. Handsome Pants. This is a horse that ran on your wedding night, Kyle. Yeah. And I know that because the horse that finished second, I thought couldn't lose the race.
Yes.
And Handsome Pants was very impressive first time out. He just sat behind comfortably and did it well. There you go. Daniel Ramser. Kenny McPeak does not win first time out very much, guys. He's coming back quickly with him, which shows confidence. I don't know how talented Handsome Pants is, but he did it very professionally. And I know I've got him third. If he wins, I would not be completely shocked here. It's a test of class. There's other good ones in here. I mean, Filoso, Paul, we saw win nicely at Saratoga, although he got a perfect trip. We'll see how good he is. Tenacious Leader is a horse I talked about last week because this is a horse that I thought was actually better than Zulu Kingdom. And now he's going to dirt, which I find really weird and interesting for Pletcher, Paul. Like, why wouldn't he run him in the Champagne? I don't know. This was a weird, and he's not, I thought he'd be running in the grass on Sunday. This is a weird decision by Todd, but who am I to question Todd Pletcher?
Yeah, I agree.
Moon is talented. This is a nice field.
Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing, I guess, he did run well in the off the turf race at Saratoga.
Yeah.
At first glance, I will just chalk it up to the usual Derby fever syndrome. You have a good 2-year-old, you want to win the Kentucky Derby, and let's find out how he does on dirt now against stakes horses. There's really nothing. There's not a lot to lose in it. Spendthrift. It's not going to kill them if they miss out on the first place turf purse. They can in Rapoli. They can sustain the loss. So I think it might be a case of you don't know. He's out of a curling mare. The Not This Times kind of run on anything thus far. They're running really well. So I understand. I won't say I don't understand it. I mean, the horse is going to beat me in this field, and if he were to win a race like this, then he's probably off to the juvenile. But he could just as easily go off to the juvenile turf, couldn't he?
He could. Dapper Moon, you guys have. This is a fun race. We'll see what happens. I just showed the odds checker, Paul. 7-4, sub 2-1 on Ferocious. I think that's about right. Actually, it might be more like 6-5. We're going to see. I think Ferocious is going to take a ton of money and will probably be over bet, but also can win. Let's go on to the last race, guys. Then we got to do our best bets, and we may or may not have a Paul rant. I'm not sure, but we do need to get out here in 10 minutes so that we can give a little breathing room for Pacific horse players. Guys, this is the race of the day. I don't. This is the $1.25 million. They upped the purse. Coolmore mile. It's on the turf, and wow, what a field this is. It's for the boys. It's a field of 9. The Moorline favorite is one of the most popular horses in training. One of my favorite horses. Patrick Kunzel's favorite horse, I believe, right now, or right up there. Carl Spackler for Chad. Chad's got 3 in this race. Carl Spackler, Tyler G, the 9 horse, 2-1. And then you've also got More Than Looks, the number 3 for Shri DeVoe and Jose Ortiz. Let's see who we're going with in the Coolmore Turf Mile. I'm going 396. Wow. What? Kyle's going 392. Paul's going 319. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not talk before the race. That's literally the first time I saw that. That is crazy. We're all going against Carl Spackler, which is very, very interesting. So, Paul, More Than Looks, man, I could go on and on about this horse. What do you like about him? 3-1 morning line, a serious closer. I would argue the best turf closer that we have in this country.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, obviously Spackler on paper is the horse to beat. You know, the mile distance on turf is one of those configurations that you really do have to pay attention to horses' experience. And I will put an asterisk with that. I'm not talking about Euros coming over, but when you get to the Breeders' Cup especially, and you deal with the mile, you do want to see horses with some experience. Spackler, 5 for 6. I just thought he got a much better trip, much more tactical trip than More Than Looks last time, Howard. I think Jose will be more aggressive. I know the horse is a closer and they're not going to take him out of his style, but I do think he has a chance to be a smidgen more tactical with Jose than Irad. Spackler is out wide, which is not ideal at going a mile. Not a deal breaker, but not ideal. So, you know, again, you're looking for a way to beat the favorite, although More Than Looks is going to take a share of money. But I agree with you. Intriguing race because you have two legitimate Euros, maybe not the A-plus team, but as we know, the Euros who come over to run on turf don't have to be the A-plus team.
This is the replay. There's Carl Spackler. Here's More Than Looks. Now, look, it's a legit, 3 lengths, whatever it is. I understand that. Kyle, this was Carl Spackler's first race off the layoff. It was not firm. Clearly the race set up for Carl Spackler. And Carl Spackler has been a complete monster on the inner turf at Saratoga. I love this horse. I had a tough time with this race, who I wanted to pick. But I just feel like Keeneland's going to be better suited to More Than Looks than Carl Spackler. The pace doesn't look that hot. I don't think it's going to be slow, though. And I just think More Than Looks is ready to run a big race. But I will say selfishly, Kyle, in a way, I'd like to see More Than Looks run a troubled third and then be like 12-1 in the BCBC push at Del Mar with horses like Goliad and a lot of very fast horses with a race that's going to be a lot more speedy than this one. I sort of like to see More Than Looks run a sneaky good race, but not win here to increase his odds in a month. But anyway, More Than Looks is a beautiful horse and talented.
Yeah, and it's a speaker for the top step of the Shredovo fan club for those that watch Betting and Boozing.
Yeah.
Like I said, first off the layoff, they went 49-1, 113 and almost 3 last time in the 4-star Dave. Carl Spackler sat right off of that. And you guys pointed out the post position. I think it's gonna. I mean, you got Running Bee, the 4, who's gonna look close to the lead. Talk of the Nation is definitely not going to be slow in this race.
Let me interrupt you. Sorry, but
no,
Chad, Chad is not going to get in Carl Spackler's way.
Correct.
So
right.
They're not going to battle, but I just want to mention that for people at home.
No, that's fair.
I think Talk of the Nation is definitely going. Noises off, might go with blinkers on. I think there's enough early speed to set it up for More Than Looks, and I think he's going to be closer. At least I hope he's going to be mid-pack instead of second to last.
Right. And he and it says it in the notes, but More Than Looks, you saw it on the replay down the stretch. He was throwing his head. He was ranked, it seemed like a little green off the layoff. Now, second time at 4 years old, I think this is a much better scenario for More Than Looks. Should get a little bit of help up front. Should be hopefully be a little bit closer, somewhere in that, maybe that 5th range again, but not as far back, 7 lengths back. I'm very keying in on More Than Looks in this race to hopefully end my day off with a good win price.
Kyle and Paul, I might be I might be contacting a Mr. Davy Lane in the next 24 hours. If I'm getting 9-1, which is what it shows right now in Odds Checker on More Than Looks, forget about the unhealthy bet. I might be making the mortgage might have to change because there's no way this horse should be 9-1. I could see him being, 9-2, 4-1, but I mean 9-1 is completely silly. Of course, the Euros are going to take money in odds checker because it's a Euro site. Let's quickly talk about them, guys. Then we got to get to our best bets. So the Euros, I don't think are anything special in this race. Mountain Bear did run in the juvenile last time, but he's 3. He has trouble breaking from the gate. By the way, it's Chris Hayes riding, as we just talked about. This is a closer who has trouble breaking from the rail at a place like Keeneland. Not being able to break rate, no bueno. That is a major problem. Kukuli is actually interesting, 4-1 money line. I watch his replays. I'm not sure he wants to go a mile. Now, going 7 in Europe, usually they get the mile without a problem, but he also has not gone left-handed. He's also a 3-year-old. Guys, I'm a little bit against the Euros in this spot. I just think it's either More Than Looks or Spackler. I'm chalking out in this race, guys, but I really, 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 really like More Than Looks, if not today or Saturday in the Breeders' Cup for sure, if he comes out of this race. Any final thoughts, guys? We'll show our best bets.
I mean, like I said, you guys pointed out the Euros. Paul, I'll let you go next. I just want to talk quick about I have Kukuli in 3rd. I agree, Howard. I watched the replay. I thought, maybe nothing too special. But again, as Paul pointed out, that A- B+ Euro could be good enough, at least underneath in this spot, especially if there's going to be a little bit of pace on. Talk of the Nation has, withheld before off those decent paces. But Kukuli has shown the ability, gets Frankie. It's obviously Juddmonte, and both that Group 1 and that Group 2 was favored pretty heavily in those races. So, at hopefully what's going to be a decent price, that More Than Looks and Carl Spackler are going to take a little bit of money underneath. I think is definitely worth the least a look.
And Paul, how about Spirit of St. Louis, New York riding had a chance against these monsters? He didn't run great last time, but I don't think he's going to win. He could be in the money. He's a really talented horse, just a very tough spot.
Yeah, and he looks like he could get lost on the board in this race, Howard, relative to all those ones. We always talk about people love seeing ones on the page, but, he's a 15-1 morning line, New York bred. He could get lost, and he really was, running tremendously, albeit against New York breds. He did win one listed open company race at Aqueduct, but again, if he were to win at 27-1, would I be shocked? No, I think I better put a C down right next to him just in case right now.
And he's 11-11 for top. He's 11 for 11 in the top 2. Obviously, New York state bred races, but still.
Yeah, would I love to see a New York bred win a Grade 1? Yes, of course.
Is the sky blue, Paul?
Let's go to the best bets. I'm just going to talk these through, guys. Kyle, you're going to go the win bet on Zeitlos in race 7, and then you're going double East Avenue into More Than Looks, which I'd say that could pay 20-1. That could absolutely pay because Ferocious can take a ton of money and Spackler is going to take a lot of money. So good luck with that double, Kyle. Very interesting. Paul's going to play in race 8 an exacta key box, 7 with 2, 4, 8, 11. The 7 was special wand,
20-1.
Yes, you're going to try a special wand and money with a bunch of horses, which I think is an interesting play. I like that play, Paul. And then a double Ferocious into, is that Ferocious? Yeah. Ferocious into, is that right? The 1-3?
Mountain Bear and More Than Looks. I want to, for value, I don't want Ferocious into Spackler because you'll get like a box of rice, and I don't want to get more than that.
And then I'm going to go with Zeitlos also, guys, in race 7. And race 10, I like More Than Looks a lot. I just hope it's a fair race. And last year, Kyle, you remember last year's where we were? Remember where we were? Watching, that was a rough one for you. But what a race between Master of the Season up to the mark. One of the best finishes of the entire year. But anyway, I'm going More Than Looks with to win in a big exacta. More Than Looks over Talk of the Nation and Carl Spackler, and then reversing it a little bit as well. Paul, do you have a rant? Do you want to save it for next week? Do you have anything you want to
very quickly, save the graphic very quickly. I just want to stress to people that, don't pick up the racing form, the PPs on Monday of Breeders' Cup week and start trying to handicap those 22 puzzles. It's actually started before now. Hopefully you've been paying attention all year, but certainly last weekend in the races at New York and Churchill, and this weekend especially, this is really it because it's 4 weeks from this weekend, and for the most part, people don't want to run back quicker than that into the Breeders' Cup if they don't have to. So really pay attention. Don't sleep on the New York card. I know Kyle and the youngins are going to talk about it tomorrow night. You have the aforementioned Chancellor McPatrick, who I'll be very interested to see. I just hope he can break a little better as they go along, because we have experience with horses in the Derby who can't quite get out of the gate. I don't want to, So anyway, I knew that would get my uncle good there. So anyway, look it's absolutely, I'm not going to say it's the best time of the year because we have Saratoga, we have the Derby, but let's face it, the Derby for the most part is for the tourists, and the Breeders' Cup is for the horse players, right? The Derby's one race, the Breeders' Cup's 22. It's really a lead up. Pay attention. There's other shows out there, not as good as this, but they try. Right. The DRF, all the online stuff. We're going to work our ass off for you people between now and the Breeders' Cup. Howard will have some observations from being there this weekend. I'll have some observations, what I hear being there next weekend. Look, are we going to give you 22 winners in the Breeders' Cup? No. Okay. But guess what? You don't need 22 winners in the Breeders' Cup. Okay. You need select ones. So I just encourage people to really start getting into it now. And we are going to have a hell of a month coming up.
Well, it's going to be hard to find 22 winners, Paul, and it's only 14 Breeders' Cup races. But you mean over the 2 days.
That's also a good point. Where do I get 22 from? Oh, there's 22 races total. Oh, there's 22 races. You can play the non-Breeders' Cup races if you're a degenerate.
There actually might be more than that. I don't know. Very quickly, guys. Forever Young won this morning, Wednesday morning. Didn't break great, but recovered so quickly after a small stumble. He's still my top choice in the Classic right now, guys. I really like that horse, and he was tactical. We'll see. And Paul, you said the Breeders' Cup, you don't wait. You better not wait to handicap the Japanese invasion, because they're bringing over as many as 19. In many different races. So, guys, I cannot wait. It's going to be thrilling. Great job, Kyle and Paul. Greatly appreciate it. For my wonderful co-hosts, Kyle Roscoe, Paul Howard, and this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 376 of Picks and Ponies. Go ahead, Kyle.
And don't forget Pacific Horse Players in a half hour. Tune into those guys.
I was just going to say Pacific Horse Players. No problem. Pacific Horse Players coming right up. I will be at Keeneland again this weekend. Please check out our X handle. I'm going to have videos. I'm going to have interviews from the paddock winner's circle. It's a must follow on X right there at H Kravitz. And then the following week, Paul and Kyle will be there. Crush your bets this weekend, especially Saturday at Keeneland Racecourse. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.